So we had, the reason we record these is that we had, I think, Merida, I don't know if you said 15 or so that were signed up for this. And oftentimes we find that people don't come. So we send them the recording so they get to see who's in their backyard, so to speak. So I'm Marilyn Turkovich, and I'm the executive director of the Charter for Compassion and have been for just a few years. And I am geographically located on the west coast of the United States, very close to the Canadian border to Vancouver. So it's early morning for me, not so early, but just 8 o'clock. And so, and you've already heard from Merida, but we can hear a little bit more from her.
Okay, so my name is Merida McCarthy, so it's a Mexican Spanish name actually, Merida. But my mom decided to name me that after her adventures here in Mexico. And what else? I'm program coordinator for the Charter for Compassion. So I'm the one that's sending out all these invitations for these chats, and the one most people would come to ask about any of the programs that we have at Charter for Compassion. So you're welcome to write to me whenever you want.
So, Richard, why don't you let us know who you are?
What do I say? I don't know where to start. Well, you've heard I live in Bradford-on-Avon, married to Tessa, who is a member of Church of England clergy. I'm a member of the Third Order Franciscans, who are, well, this is the Anglican Third Order Franciscans, so they're across the world. I think we've got about 1,000 members in Europe. I'm a retired family GP, and I guess my primary activities, apart from, if it hadn't been so wet and nasty today, going sailing on a Wednesday, I would have got back from sailing to be here, but it is here. I'm very passionate about our climate and nature emergency. And I suppose my professional life put me in touch with people in conflict and stress and troubles, and I continue to see it, pandemic, post-pandemic. I'm vice chair of the parish council here. And just one example before I stop wittering, which is why I think we need this Charter for Compassion, is that a local resident's been very concerned about the state of the roads. Fair enough. But they've been in correspondence almost daily with a senior member of the local council's highways team. And just as they started to recruit our parish council to their cause, they decided to threaten the officer with a formal complaint both to their employing council and to the Council for Engineers, the professional body for engineers. It's like sort of going nuclear with, you know, and the correspondence was very much one of this highways engineer within all the constraints they work under, just trying to be helpful with somebody who just decided it wasn't good enough. And it just, I don't know, it's just not right, in my opinion. Anyway, that's enough.
Great. Well, welcome, Pat. We're just
Hi. I've only just come in, as you can see. I haven't even got my coat off yet, but there we are. I'm here now.
Okay. We just are starting up by introducing ourselves and letting people know where we're from. And so besides myself and Merida from the staff of the Charter for Compassion, Richard has just introduced himself. And I think on my screen, I'm going to go down to you, Meg, and we'll let Pat take her coat off and get her breath. And go from Meg to Wilford and then to you, Pat.
Thank you, Marilyn. So I'm, I guess, our ambassador from north of the border. I live in Scotland. I'm based in Glasgow.
Professionally, I am wearing 2 hats at the moment. I have been a lecturer for 33 years and last year went part-time in that role, so that I could take up another part-time role, which I hope will become a full-time role, as a chaplain at a neighbouring university. So that's really the hat that I'm wearing here today. So I'm an interfaith minister. I don't belong to a particular religion. I follow my own spiritual path. And I think, to be honest, in terms of the university chaplaincy role, that's ideal because I can't be accused of being partisan. So a lot of, particularly my chaplaincy work, is around compassion. This is such a difficult time for students in terms of mental health issues. We're seeing issues more than we ever have before. I think because of greater awareness and reporting, but I think greater incidence as well, particularly post-COVID. Also, obviously, students are suffering from things like the cost of living crisis. We have increased student numbers, which is causing overwhelm for many of them. So I'm very much promoting our chaplaincy as part of the wellbeing provision, with the faith aspect, I think, coming as a bit further down the line so that we can open the doors to everyone. So I'm trying to kind of change the culture of the chaplaincy. I have a team of honorary chaplains who are everything from Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, Hindus, humanists. I even have a Druid, of which I'm very proud. So I'm very new to Charter for Compassion. I stumbled onto it a couple of months ago, and my longer term goal would be that I convince the principal for us to sign up as an institution. If he doesn't agree to that, then we'll sign up as a chaplaincy.
Great.
But I would love to actually embed compassion, within every discipline area, and to make it just part of our students' very explicit experience within the university. So hopefully that wasn't too long a ramble.
No, great. Thank you so much. And Wilford.
Well, very interesting to hear the other folks, what you've been saying. To our friend Richard, well, you know what they're trying to do in England now is to get you back to work. But I'm a pharmacist, though long retired now. I retired in 2006 when I was 69. I'm a member and elder in the United Reformed Church, and but I'm not serving as an elder at the moment. In the URC, we are elders for life. I've been an elder for quite a long time, most of my adult life, I suppose, but I stepped down a year ago because it's enough, really. I'm 85 and it's time I packed up. But I'm a lay preacher and take services in the local URC churches. I'm also, but I usually keep my mouth shut, I'm what's called a free to believer, because there's a small group of people started by URC ministers called Free to Believe. And it means that we are free to believe. But I do very strongly believe in compassion and the golden rule. And I've been looking at the Charter for Compassion emails for, well, quite a few years, since I first came across Karen Armstrong speaking from America. And I was very taken with what she said. But this is the first time I've been on a Zoom like this, because, I don't know, I'm busy doing things. I want to go out and do some gardening because it's nice and sunny here. But I'd signed up to do this, and it's wonderful to meet a few folk from around the world that we're all like-minded people. If only compassion could be spread a bit wider. gosh, don't we need that?
Thank you, Wilfred.
And I live here with my wife, Eileen, and we're both busy people in our United Reformed Church.
Great. Thank you for that. You know that Karen Armstrong lives right in your backyard. She's a Londoner. She lives in Islington. And so that's from where she writes all of those magical books that I think spark so many people interest in compassion. So I just wanted to share that with you. So Pat, with a fine Italian name.
It was my husband who died many years ago, who brought the Italian blood into the marriage. But I was born in Wales, but of a mixture of Irish and English parents, probably more English than Irish. And I then moved when I was 16. We came up to London, and I've more or less lived there ever since. Various parts of London, and then finally 2 years ago I moved to Weymouth, and it happens to be my birthday today, and I've reached the old age of 4 times 21.
Okay.
So yes, I'm retired. In fact, I have been for many years. In fact, I'll probably be classed as one of the not working people who possibly could have worked, but I was very glad to give up. I was trained as a dentist. I didn't do much work because of mental health problems. So I'm very sympathetic to other people with mental health problems. Part of that was pure stupidity on my part. And I then moved into teaching just by accident and got a job in the Catholic school. I am a Catholic, at the bottom of my garden in where we were living then. Well, Highgate, more or less. And from that, I graduated literally. An old student friend, by that time was a professor. He needed a lecturer in, well, basically statistics, math, because I was teaching math. He thought I'd do, because I had some sort of knowledge of dentistry. So I ended my last 10 years of work in College London. Teaching graduates and undergraduates and doing a bit of in-house computing, everything part of it. And I can't remember quite when I joined Charter for Compassion. I can remember so little about it that I'm a bit embarrassed. And I think I'm largely here this afternoon because I thought, oh, about time you reminded yourself what this is about.
Okay.
Other than it's in the title.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And
Happy birthday.
Yes, and happy birthday,
you.
of course. And I think that we could probably, between Merida and I, we could sing happy birthday to you in Spanish, Feliz cumpleaños. But I think we won't do it. We don't want to embarrass us.
I don't think you want to hear our voices.
But this is wonderful. Richard, you're reminding me that tomorrow on my doorstep there will be 2 people from Tilford coming for a week's visit. We exchange visits every year, have for probably the last 10. And Malcolm was one of the transportation directors for the UK, which helped me remember that. So he would probably enjoy talking with you. I thought, after hearing you and that one thing that I might want to share with you, it won't be very long, but since you're all kind of in this cusp of like having been a little involved with the charter, but not quite knowing, where it has been going, I just remembered as you were talking that I did a presentation to our Board of Trustees on last Thursday. And usually I do that once a month to give them an overview of what we've been doing and where we might be going. And so I thought, well, I have that in my back pocket. So I thought maybe I would share that with you because then that would give you an idea so we can continue our conversation together. So So here's what happened on March 9th that was presented to the Board of Trustees. And it's very much an overview of what we've been involved in. And so in January and February, we did two massive things. One was every year we celebrate the legacy of Martin Luther King. And we do that not from a US perspective, but from a global perspective. And we actually have contributions from this year, we had contributions from people from Canada, the UK, India, that participated in 67 different offerings that really recognize the concept of a beloved community. And how that is really part of the legacy of Martin Luther King. And we've been very fortunate to have a grant to put things together each year. And it goes from January 17th to the end of February, but we start a little early all the time, just because we usually have so many programs. But for people who are in interfaith, you might want to go to our website, see the 40 days. They're all recorded. And we had the honor this year of having Cornel West, who is a wonderful theologian. He's at Harvard right now, but we have two presentations that he did. And then the other thing that we participate in every year is the UN-sponsored World Interfaith Harmony Week. So we have 7 programs that were a part of that presentation. Again, all recorded. Merida did a great job of putting it down so that we can share it with others. The other thing, and I would be happy to send this or send it to Merida, who would consequently send it to you along with the recording today, and maybe even if you're interested in this slide deck. But we finished the impact report, which I think gives a really good overview of what we experienced in 2022. The other thing is that right now we have in place 23 days of compassion that started yesterday. And will go until April 5th. And on April 5th is Golden Rule Day. And every year we celebrate Golden Rule Day, but we're going to doubly celebrate it this year because we're going to launch a new part of our programming, which is Compassionate Kids, powered by Golden Rule. And so we're excited about that. It's going to be a new part on our website, and it's primarily for parents who want to raise kids who really understand the concept of the Golden Rule. And then we will have a section just for kids. And hopefully, we'll continue to launch that. Another thing that will be a launch will be in April. We have been involved in working to set up and really be very much involved with a program called GCC, the Global Compassionate Coalition. And this little illustration that we have here is one that comes from a person by the name of McCormick Russell, and he's over in Ireland, but he's currently teaching at DePaul University in Chicago. But McCormick and Dr. Julian Abel, whose name you might know, he's from the Cornwall area, and did a wonderful book on compassionate communities and highlighted Frome, one of your sister cities in the UK. And how is it that a community could be alert to the need for palliative care and respond to the needs of people? And as Karen Armstrong says, that a compassionate community is one that really hurts because it recognizes that there's a lot of grave issues. And certainly, as Julian emphasized in his book, part of that hurt is the fact that, you know, palliative care is something that is just now coming into its own, but the fact that all of us can really be a part of that. But McCormick's idea and Julian's idea now is that what we should pay attention to are the 6 closest doors to our own door. So that if we could pay attention to our neighbors that are six doors away from us in one direction and 6 doors away from us in another direction, the chances are that this will snowball. This goodness of what I think a couple of you referred to as the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. If you could do that, no matter what the religion of a person might be, what the gender, what the political status might be, and beliefs of a person, but if you treat people with kindness, that will just create this incredible network, because it snowballs, and that it will move beyond those 6 doors to many, many more doors. So that's what we're doing in end of April. In May, there's going to be another launch that we've been working on for over a year. And please, you know, as you look at our newsletters, you're going to see that we'll be starting to advertise the Age Nation. And Age Nation is basically a series of small videos that are being produced to be used on TV, to be part of a website, and also to be part of podcasts. But at the same time, Age Nation is going to be a conference that'll last for 2 weeks, and all of it will be archived so that you can go back to it whenever you want. And it's looking at people who are of a certain age, probably over 50 or so, and the good things that they're doing around the world. And so Age Nation is relying on the charter to really get this into the viewing eyes of people around the world. So that's what's happening in May. In June, even though it says USA, Compassionate USA, we are helping to launch something that is coming from US mayors. And one mayor in particular, the mayor of San Antonio, Texas, his name is Ron Nienberg. And Ron is the compassionate officer for the compassionate cities in the United States. We have 197 cities now registered. And, you know, some of them are doing extraordinary work. Some of them are compassionate in name only. So this is an opportunity for the charter and Compassionate USA and a bunch of other partners to look at some issues, to make a host of resources available to all of you. And so these are the 6 areas of emphasis, so that very soon you will see also on our website resources that relate to these 6 areas: the systems part, trauma, our common humanity, the compassion we can offer to others, emotional awareness for ourselves, and also compassion for ourselves. So, and our hope is that that this idea of Compassionate USA could become Compassionate UK. And yesterday, when we were on the Canadian call, someone had read about Compassionate USA and said, oh, darn it, we can be Compassionate Canada as well. And that's true, that this is a formula. The thing about the charter is everything that we do is free in terms of resources. We do have paid courses and things that help us keep our feet on the ground. But for the most part, when we do these things, the idea is to share them so that people can duplicate them. In July, we're having, many of you might know, the Parliament of World Religions. It's been around for well over 100 years. It's going back to its original place this year for a physical on-site conference. It's been online the last year. and it'll be in Chicago. But what we want to do, because the Charter for Compassion is a co-sponsor of the Parliament, is that we really want people to know one another before they come, kind of like these meetings that we have right now today. And so we're going to have some pre-Parliament programs, and even if you aren't going to the Parliament, it might be a great time to really participate in the programs as well. One is on pro-social spirituality, which pro-social spirituality comes from the writing of Brother Wayne Teasdale, that he wrote a book called The Mystic Heart. And from that, there has been kind of an evolution of bringing together neuroscience to interfaith. And so we're going to have a series of programs before the Parliament, and then hopefully many people who take that course or that experience will get to meet one another at the Parliament and continue working together. The other thing is that we've become involved in something called Crossing Borders, and it's a wonderful program that is started by someone who originally came from East Berlin, but now lives in Scotland. Arndt is an extraordinary filmmaker, and he has come up with a program where people from all over the world in very small groups of 12 can begin to explore some of the issues that rise out of compassion, like resilience and reconciliation, social justice. And so we're going to again offer a pre-program before the Parliament, and then hopefully have people come together who met online. It's a wonderful model that the Charter has participated in the past. And so then obviously in August with the Parliament in Chicago from the 14th to that should be 18th. We have 24 tracks of workshops, these 2 interactive programs that we talked about, the launching of a wonderful film, which I think eventually will get online, called Ubuntu, is looking at how people in the continent of Africa, from north to south, east to west, embrace that term, and what does it mean to certain indigenous communities within the continent. And then we have a big humanitarian banquet, which we have done now. This will be our 6th gathering. We don't do them always in a banquet format. Last year and the year before, we did them online. We award these humanitarian recognitions to people who have done outstanding work. Last year, one person that you might know is Mary Robinson, who is very close to the Charter for Compassion. I mean, she was there at the beginning of the Charter, and she continues to just be one of the people that we rely on a great deal. And then upcoming global reads. One of the things that we do once a month, we highlight a book. And the idea is that you have an opportunity to take a look at that book, either before or even after the global read. We bring the author or authors of a book together to talk about what's contained within the book, but then it's a great opportunity for people who are present to ask questions, so that some of our upcoming global reads are, you might recognize to the left, Gillian Anderson and Jennifer Neidl, who've written jointly written We, a Manifesto for Women Everywhere. Jennifer has become, I think, it's almost, I feel like she's a staff member of the Charter, because she is now, she founded Compassion in Politics in the UK, and most of the work of Compassion in Politics occur in the UK, and that organization is continuing. But Jennifer is now the executive director of the Global Compassion Coalition that I mentioned before. And we're doing a great deal of work together with the coalition because we're one of the founding members of that coalition. The other thing is we're going to have the book, The Connected Community. The person that I talked about, McCormick Russell, Cormac Russell, is going to present not only the book, but that whole idea of 6 doors from your own door. And then Dasher Kiltner with Awe. And Dasher is at the University of California, Berkeley, and he runs the Greater Good Science Center. And this is, he's a wonderful writer, and if you have a chance to even look at some of his short videos on neuroscience and kindness on YouTube, I think that that would be fantastic. So that's kind of where some of the things that the charter has been involved in the beginning months of 2023 and where we're heading in the next few months. And just a couple things before I stop, and then we can take questions. One thing that we have relied on through probably the last 3 years is a course called Compassion Integrity Training. And for the last year, we haven't offered it, but we will be starting that course up again. And it's based on neuroscience, as well as some principles that just come out of the Golden Rule and life experience. It's an opportunity to learn how you can be compassionate to yourself, what happens when things aren't going so well, both with yourself and interaction with other people. It considers really the science of resilience. It looks at reconciliation, forgiveness, and gratitude that need to be a part of all of our lives. It's a 10-hour, no, it isn't. Is it a 20-hour commitment? Yeah, 20-hour commitment over 10 weeks. And so look in the newsletter, because we will again offer that course online. And the wonderful thing about the course is it's not a humongous group, because we're pretty committed to keeping it down in numbers, but it's an opportunity from people from around the world to participate in something together and learn from one another at the same time. And then I think the other thing that I just want to mention about the operational end of the charter is that some of you know that our mission is that we work with compassionate cities. So we help communities, and then cities is a big word, so we try and use community. We have neighborhoods, we have villages, we have towns, we have regions, we have cities in 54 countries, almost 500 different entities who have declared themselves in one way or the other to be compassionate, and to come up with ideas of how that can happen. So in the UK, you have a lot of work being done in Edinburgh and Leeds, in Oxford, Birmingham. I'm just trying to think, Plymouth, Portsmouth. So these are some of the cities that are doing extraordinary work. And so we have a lot of materials online. We meet with people like we're meeting with you to help grow these compassion initiatives. We interface a lot with city councils or community councils, mayors. It's been pretty extraordinary over the last years, but the pandemic has put a stop to it. But I've had the opportunity to physically meet with lots of mayors in Ireland and in the UK, and also in Europe as well. So that's one thing that we do. And the other thing is we do a lot in education, and we don't try to invent the wheel. Instead, we rely and we vet on programs that have come from very strong organizations and universities, and we vet those programs, and then we make them available through the charter. And as I said, well, I didn't explain, but operationally, we work in 12 sectors. And so we have arts, business, education, environment, healthcare, peace, social services, social justice, restorative justice, gender partnership, science, and research. And I don't know if I missed anything, but what we try and do is to get people like you who might have an interest in one of those areas to join a team with us, to really help move that sector forward. We try hard to pull together so that the sectors will work and interconnect with one another and bring us, programs like the 40 days or the interfaith program that we do. So there you have it. Now I'm quiet and you can ask questions.
Thank you, Marilyn. That was really interesting. I just want to be involved in everything. But based on your last point about getting involved with particular teams, how might we go about that?
Well, you just let us know. And then one of the things that we'll do is we'll introduce you to that sector. So, for example, boy, I can do a couple examples right away, but I think that the example that I'm going to do is environment. So we have an environment team. We have 2 fellows from the continent of Africa, one from Cameroon, one from Uganda. We have the leads for that sector are in the US, and we have participation from Portugal on the team. And one of the things that they're doing right now and have been doing is called the Compassionate Tree Project. And what that group, the environment group, are doing is helping to establish 3 brand new nurseries in the Cameroons. And they're planting indigenous plants, but they're also planting those with, they're located on school grounds so that parents and children will tend to the trees. And also that we're trying with local involvement so that the nurseries will eventually produce the kinds of crops that are necessary. So there are some fast growing trees like the moringa tree, which has proven to be an outstanding tree for fiber and food and all kinds of things. So that's what that particular sector is involved in right now, but also challenging other of our city initiatives, like Monterrey, Mexico, has gotten land from the local park system and planted, I think, 30,000 trees, and challenged its sister city, San Antonio, Texas, to do the same thing. And now they upped the ante for friendly co-opetition. And so, that's just something. The RISE sector, which is religion, interfaith, spirituality, for everyone. I hope I get that. Is it for everyone? No. What is
It's
it?
on Earth or for Earth.
Oh, for Earth. Okay, good. They, like, for example, they put together the 7 days of World Interfaith Harmony. And now they're taking that, which was probably about 10, 11 hours of programming, down to a little less, and they'll be presenting that at the Parliament of World Religions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
Apologies if this is a stupid question. It has been a couple of months since I looked at the website. But is there information about each of these teams to help us
Yeah,
as to what's most appropriate?
yeah. Let me just, and this will just take a second. Pull up. Let me get out of my. Here we go. Bear with me.
Thank you. I think when I looked at the website previously, I was looking more at what institutions had signed up, because I was
Oh, yeah.
thinking about it from a university point of view, rather than looking at the teams from an individual point of view.
Well, here, at the very top, and this is not the homepage, this is the sector page, but is our navigation bar. And, you know, if you go to sectors, you'll see this is what, you know, we have this illustration that shows the sectors of the charter, and then how your organization, your church, your hospital, your school could become involved. And then you could click on any one of those. But it's a really quick way for registration. And just to help you, like, let's go into, I'm going to go into health. And so every sector, pretty much, when you go to the homepage of the sector, they're organized in the same way. You can see who the team is that comprises the sector. You can go and see who are the partner organizations that are part of this sector. Most sectors have between 60 and 500 partners. So it's a lot to take care of. Each sector has its own compassion rater and its own annotated bibliography and resource sector. So they're all pretty much organized in the same way.
Thank you. That was really useful. I think I had my blinkers on and was only looking at the education part of it, but I see there's so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, our website is overwhelming. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if you printed it out, which you would never want to do, it's 9,000 pages. And that's just because there's so many people involved in the charter around the world. And you know, I mean, people want what they've been doing up on the charter website, and they rely a lot on it also as an archive. Wilfred, I know you're talking to us, but we don't hear you because your mic is off. There you go.
Please forgive me, Olga, because I think I've got to leave the group. Thank you very much for what you've all said. It's been very good to meet you, but I've got to go.
Okay.
I'm very interested in the Charter for Compassion, but I'm not interested in joining any teams or any groups. I'm in enough teams and groups connected with my church and various other things that I'm connected with locally. I can't take on any more. I've, as it were, done my bit. As I said, I'm quite a busy person, but thank you very much. And I'm always interested in looking at the emails that I get. And some of them I print out and I put into the magazine that I edit for our church.
Great.
So, you know, forgive me if I go. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, well, see you again, perhaps.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Perhaps I'll ask a question, or well, just first of all, just probably an overused word. It sounds a bit American too, but awesome. Just all that you shared is incredible. Just a couple of organisations came into my mind. I don't know if you've got any overlaps or connections with them. I think the Corrymeela community in Northern Ireland is phenomenal. Do a lot of peacekeeping work, you know, given all the history in that part of the world. And I was once, the only sort of big treat I had with the NHS, they once flew me out to the States to visit the Arbinger Institute for training. And what I found really interesting there, and they're probably their first book was called Leadership and Self-Deception, which is an interesting title in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you know their work, the founder did a lot of deep psychology.
What is it called again, Richard?
Arbinger.
Arbinger?
There is a word, isn't there? Harbinger. That it's like often the harbinger of doom, but this is Arbinger without the H. But the founder did a lot of deep psychology and wrote it up in a book called the Oxford Papers, because I think he was in Oxford, England, when he did his study. But when we say feel angry, which is obviously the opposite of feeling compassion, the human being blames the other person.
Mhm.
But what his work showed is that our reaction to the other person is simply born out of the judgment that we are making internally towards them. So rather than pointing the finger at the other person, we should always be pointing the finger at ourselves.
Right.
I've found that work immensely helpful ever since I was first introduced to it. But I think there's probably an embarrassment of riches here for how I might get involved. I mean, I could immediately think I could introduce this to the Franciscan network, the parish council, the local church, the primary school, where my wife's vice chair of governors and I'm involved with an after school rewilding club. It kind of goes on and on. So without ridiculously over promising and under delivering,
Well,
what's
whatever
my
we can
first
do.
small baby step?
Well, I think that whatever we can do, please let us know. And we would appreciate introductions to everything that you've mentioned. One of the things, if people are interested in promoting education, we have two programs. One is Think Equal that comes out of London, and so. Well, lots of information and lots of activity around that. There are in Monterey tens of thousands of young children from the ages of 3 to 6 are being trained in Think Equal. We introduced it in Australia a few years ago in the province of Victoria, and now the government of Australia is interested in making it available throughout the entire country. It's a wonderful program, and so we'd be happy to give you information on any of them. And I'm glad that that you mentioned Corrymeela. We've been in conversation now for quite some time with Derek Wilson from Corrymeela, who has an incredible program that he has designed with 2 other people. One is from Korea and the other one is from the United States. The program's called Nurturing Hope. Derek hasn't been well, and so we kind of put things on hold, but we hope maybe later in the year that we'll be able to offer that as an online program. The other place in the Republic of Ireland that is also a charter partner is Glen Cree. So, and we have again been in conversation with them. They've been a great partner, and I've had the opportunity to visit them as well when I've been in Ireland.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but do let us know.
So let's say Think Equal as an example. I'd just go to your webpage to start with.
Yeah, the thing about Think Equal is that we try and, through our compassionate initiatives, like in a city, for example, to get as many schools and or organizations that deliver early childhood education to become trained in the method. It's very low cost. It just turns out to be probably £2 per classroom, I think.
Yeah, so if I promote it to my wife to maybe take it to the governors,
Yeah.
Knowing how open the head, and there's an executive head now, I would have thought they'd be very keen about this. Mhm.
Yeah, and Leslie Unwin is very, as everything is a little bit close in the UK. She's in London, and she is quite the dynamic person. So I'm sure that if there was even an ounce of interest, she would be on it right away.
Yeah, I put her website there for Think Equal. But we also have the CE learning training, which is happening at the moment. And teachers or you are all welcome to join to see what CE learning is about. It's a 5-session introductory course that started. We're going to start session 3 next month, I think it is. So, but you're welcome to join because they'll send you recordings and they'll update you with whatever is missing if you haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
That's
See,
another.
CE Learning is very similar to compassion integrity training, but it's brought down for K through 12 students. It's the legacy program of the Dalai Lama. I mean, financially, he is really the backer of this program. It is available in numerous languages, and they'll continue to work on that. It was launched in April of 2019. The pandemic got in the way a little bit, so it's almost as if there's a relaunch going on right now. As Merida said, these are introductory sessions right now, but in November, so we have a little bit of time. If you think that you would be interested in promoting this with schools, teachers, parents, we have the official training, intensive training that starts in November for teachers. And it'll go until May 2024. I think it'll be maybe one session a month, but I'm not positive of that because we're still working on the design with the folks at Emory University on that.
And just a final question, what training might I do just to get sort of properly embedded with the Charter for Compassion?
I think compassion integrity training, quite honestly. And I think that
we don't have dates, do we? Those are coming up soon.
They will not happen before May. And we are going to try and pull together a schedule.
And Marilyn, is the essence of compassion and all those could be useful in the meantime.
I a couple years ago put together 3 courses. One is the essence of compassion, kind of looking at compassion across cultures, through philosophy, primarily, and ethics. And then, and these are very short courses. You do them on your own. The second course is the science of compassion. And again, that's on our, if you go again to our website, maybe you can put the Compassion Education Institute there, the page link, and then you'll see these courses. You do them on your own. And then, but I think for really integrating everything that we do in terms of grounding, I think it is the Compassion Integrity Training course.
And I'd find out dates by keeping an eye on the website or newsletter, or
in the newsletter, yeah, but also on the website, that calendar, and you know,
our homepage, the calendar on our homepage is the place to go and see what is happening during the month. I can share you what it looks like so you know what it is. So you go to the home page, and
we didn't even talk about the map of co-creators.
And we didn't know. That's another of our greatest projects. But this is the calendar, so you can click on any of those events in order to register. And you can see here when there's a new course and when things are starting. So here's the UK chat, for example. That's one way of keeping an eye on what is happening as soon as possible. And the map of co-creators, I'll just nip in quickly, is a map that we have created in order for people to be able to find each other and communicate with themselves, with each other, rather. And you can register. It's very easy to register. And then you can see, you can actually filter people out based on the 12 sectors of the Charter for Compassion. So if you're interested in people that are involved in education around the world, you can see who is involved in education, and then you can select them. And by selecting them, you can actually send an invitation and talk to them.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because when you open the map, it'll open to the place that you are in the world. So that when Merida opened it, it was in Mexico. But
Mhm.
you can see, and you can keep enlarging it locally. And let's bring down the UK. So you can be in touch with every one of the people so far that have registered in the UK. We launched this in September. And our hope is that we will get just tons of people because it's an opportunity. It's very safe. No one can go in and change your registration. If you even want to go in and change it, you have to deregister and start over again. It's a safeguard. No one knows your email address, and so that when you select someone to talk with, gosh, who's in the Cotswolds? That'd be interesting to see.
Where?
The Cotswolds in the center, right there. And yeah, right there. Just kind of,
No name.
yeah, so you don't have to put your name in, but what we need is a postal code because then that allows for the pinpoint to go in. And so that when you select someone, like let's say, for example, you are putting together, like right now, the folks in Leeds are putting together a festival, a compassion festival. And so, our hope is like for them to contact people in the UK and to let them know about the festival, to ask if anyone wants to participate. So, they could just go in, select people, send an email, and the only thing, they don't see who they're sending it to. They don't have that email address. The only way they can continue conversation is if the person who they sent the email to responds to them.
So I'll stop sharing, and I'll put the link in our chat as well.
Yeah.
And
And if you can, this is one thing that you could promote among your friends and colleagues, different organizations, because it's to everyone's benefit so that they can really share with one another and maybe make that critical difference in communication that's necessary. So we're right at the top of the hour, and that went quickly. And so we will send you, if you like, we can send the impact report. I'll get that to Merida so she can send it out. And then anything else that you want, just let us know. And if you want to be involved in one of the sectors, again, let us know. Most sectors meet once a month. There are exceptions to that. I think social justice and environment meet every 2 weeks. But then you're also invited on Monday, which is Monday morning for us, once you belong to a sector, to our volunteer and staff meeting, which happens every single week. For us, 8:30 in the morning, which would be right around now for you.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. That's been really useful.
Yeah, and you can download the chat and you get all those links, but it's all on our website. So just by clicking around, you'll be able to find everything as well. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
Good
Take care.
evening.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.